Hey, it's me, Lena, clarity coach for you if you're a driven woman who wants to know what she wants, get clear on that, and say no to what you don't want. I'm your gal. I can help you do that. But today, I want to talk to you about the things that might be showing up in your life that are repeating patterns. And it may not be you, but it could be other people coming back into your life that are inviting you to question how you're showing up in your life at work, in your life in relationships. So let me give you an example. In my business, which is growing in a new way, I am being given the invitation to look at how to reflect on how I talk about my work and how I bring and measure value within my work. So I know that because this weekend I had some client calls, which were amazing. And then I received an email from one of my clients, because when you work with me one-on-one, you have the option of being in touch with me and getting coaching between our calls. And this particular client that emailed me wanted to pause August for a couple of reasons that are totally legit. It's her 10th anniversary. She just got 2 acting jobs. She's going to be traveling quite a bit. And the time was really constricted. She also has this time that we've been together for the past few months. We've grounded into this space where she feels that she's, got some good momentum going, and she just wants to roll right back in September, which makes sense, right? But in the moment when I read that email, it felt like a pile on, because the day prior, I had a phone call with one of my clients, and she got what she needed in the time that we worked together, and she was not going to go month to month with me. She decided that she was done. She was going to focus on what we created for her and move forward. And I'm not going to lie, it felt painful. It felt like, holy shit, now what the F am I going to do, right? Here's the lesson. There are a couple things that happen in your body, in your mind, in your energy when you are in conflict or in an uncomfortable situation. And the first thing that usually happens is that your inner wounded child, that's what I call it, your inner self, is prompted to react. Because, we'll use me as an example, in the moment that I learn that I'm, quote, losing a client, which is not true, but the client had great success moving forward, but my inner wounded child's like, oh my God, I'm losing a client. What the F am I going to do? I need to go get a job, right? You feel the reaction. And I'm sure you felt that, right? Like when you've been on a bad date, for example, and you're like, F this, I'm never going to date again. But then you get online and you start swiping left and right like a mad woman just to see if there's something else out there. Or you work really hard to get a job interview and you don't get the offer. And then you go back and you're like, well, I need to do something else so that I can get out of this situation. There's some underlying safety issues happening, right? Something in you is saying, I don't feel safe, I don't feel valued or appreciated, so let me go find something that might help me feel that way. That's what my initial reaction was. When I got the email that piled onto my previous client experience, my inner child who wants to feel safe and protected, right? We all do, we all have that, felt unsafe and uncertain. But because I've done a lot of work around nurturing that inner child, knowing when she shows up in what circumstances, knowing how I feel in my body and what my mind does when I'm faced with a contraction, you could say, or faced with a situation like this in which my safety feels compromised, because I know the difference of it being with my inner child and versus literally being in a dangerous situation in my life. I can bridge that gap pretty quickly because I've discerned between the two. And I can come into the center of my own self and my truth and cultivate that higher self-awareness that I know that you want for yourself. And in that, I have a solution. So what happened was I reacted. My mind reacted when I saw that email. And the reaction was, well, fuck this. Like, I need to fucking find a job, right? I was like literally going to the nth degree of like, that's one way you know that your inner child is involved, if you go to an extreme outcome. And within, like, in less than 3 seconds, because then the other part of me comes in. So the other part of me comes in is like, let's just read this. We don't have to respond to this now. We get to read it, take it in, like, it's all good. Okay, center. Then immediately following, no lie, answer. I got the solution to how to support my client through her month of travel and get her through that so that we can come back where we are now, maybe even better than we are now in September. So that might be something interesting to follow. But the main thing I want to share with you today is that it is possible for you to come out of, I call it a trigger, for you to find that awareness within yourself when you're in an uncomfortable, triggering situation. It takes a little practice. The first thing that you can do, and you can start today and do it through the week, is pay attention to your thoughts. Just for this week, notice when your reactive voice comes into play. Observe the situations, the people in the situations that cause the reactive part of you to fire up. Because that's really valuable information. So I want to leave you with that because you get to marinate in that, kind of take it in and just notice. And then personally, I'll just share with you, like for me, I knew that it was like I said in the beginning, for me, it's an invitation to kind of come back to myself. Like, what can I do differently about my offering? How can I talk about my offering differently? And maybe how can I create some different boundaries around how I work with my clients so that we're both getting what we need safely and jointly. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. And I'd love to hear your comments. So if you resonated with any part of this, or you have a question about discerning between the voices, drop a comment in the video. If that doesn't feel safe to you, shoot me an email. I'd love to hear from you and connect. Have a great day.